Right, so the last minute leaks regarding the M1X MacBook Pro continues, and today we have a bunch of details from Mark Gurman, so let's delve into it. But first, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumors. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. Right, so Mark Gurman, for the most part, is repeating information we already know about, so let's gloss over that and delve into the new tidbits from this report. And that begins with a developer that got in touch with Mark Gurman and mentioned that the display resolutions that leaked within macOS beta a few weeks ago has now appeared in his app analytics. Now, in case you don't know, the app analytics basically shows you the devices that are using your applications, and so of course somebody with an Apple is using these new MacBook Pros and they've been downloading applications, and so this developer's noticed this guy with an Apple is using his application on these new MacBooks. And by the way, there was a very similar leak to this in the past. I remember a developer mentioning that he noticed an unreleased iMac in his log, and of course a few weeks later we saw the brand new M1 iMac. And so this is basically evidence these MacBook Pros exist, and they're pretty much ready to go. But what's really interesting is that the developer that got in touch with Mark Gurman also said that in his logs, he saw these MacBook Pros were running the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, not the M1X chip we've been assuming for months now. Now, some of you may be wondering why there's two different chips, and that's because there are two different GPU options you can choose with these MacBooks, and those are the 16 and 32 GPU cores. Now, I was thinking that Apple would still call these both the M1X because, of course, we have different GPU options on the M1 models, but they are still technically just called M1. But I guess with the M1 chips, the 7-core and the 8-core GPU really weren't that different. The 7-core GPU was a binned version, and so the performance was slightly worse. But of course, with the 16 and the 32-core GPU, that's a massive jump, and you're definitely going to notice a massive performance boost with 32 GPU cores. But the thing is, why not copy the iPhones and go for M1 Pro and M1 Pro Max? Why just M1 Max? I'm not sure, but anyways, Gurman believes these could be the final names for the new chips. By the way, Gurman also says another possibility with the names could be M1X and M1Z, but this seems to be a prediction from Mark Gurman. There's no evidence behind this, and of course, since we see M1 Pro and M1 Max in the actual logs for this developer's app, I think it's pretty likely these are going to be the final names. And I guess this does make sense because Apple has eliminated the X moniker from their products. For example, the iPad now has the M series chip instead of an A14X. And so I guess M1 Pro and M1 Max fits better with the current naming scheme Apple uses across their products. Anyways, moving on, Gurman says we should see faster MagSafe charging with these MacBooks. Now, Gurman does not specify how much faster MagSafe charging is going to be, but I don't think it's going to be a massive improvement, especially considering the current 16-inch already has a 96-watt power brick. But of course, considering the 13-inch and the 16-inch's power bricks are currently out of stock, I think it's safe to say we can expect new power bricks. And by the way, many are speculating these new power bricks could have gallium nitrate, which makes the brick much more compact and easier to travel with. And finally, Gurman does say that we should see up to 64 gigs of RAM with these M1X MacBook Pros, and that goes against a leak from Luke Miani that said we should only see 16 and 32 gigs of RAM available on these MacBooks. Now, to be honest, I do still think Apple should give us 64 gigs of RAM with these MacBooks because as efficient as Apple Silicon is, these are pro machines, and so they should give their prosumers more options, and I can see some workflows demanding 64 gigs of RAM. Anyways, tell me in the comments below, guys, do you think the chip names are going to be M1X and M1Z, or M1 Pro and M1 Max? Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumors. Check out the video in the icon above on details regarding the M2 iPad Pro, and on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.